amazing how time-consuming this is.
I know.
But that's the whole song. The whole mix is just 4 tracks. That's what it is. Every time you look at it, you're like, "That's it? That's the whole mix?" It's like, "Yep."
I know. What's up? How's everybody doing? We are back in the saddle again. Let me make sure I got audio. Looking good. How is everybody on this wonderful Sunday afternoon? It's beautiful here in LA. It's like 68 degrees or something like that.
Yeah, some
A
people
little
don't
cloudy.
like
I love it. We're gonna get plenty of heat. I'm gonna take all these days I can get. So what's everybody been up to lately? We've been up to a lot. We have quite a few updates today. I'm going to start off with a big one that I'm going to repeat probably several times through this. We had a second broadcast scheduled for this month on the 21st, which was going to be a huge, in all caps, huge broadcast on hooking up your studios. All the different things to consider, different things to buy, no matter if it's a small studio, big studio, planning things out, whole thing. We have a guest who's going to join us, our good buddy Scott Francisco, because that guy has taught us a lot about what we use here. He's wired, I don't know how many studios over the years. He's worked in every big studio, and he's just a freaking bitchin' engineer. But he can't do it because he has rehearsals with Patrice Rush, and they're going to Europe in, I think, the end of this month, early June. So he couldn't do it. So we're rescheduling that for July. We'll have a date for you soon, and we're going to try, because we're going to have a little time, we're going to try to add a few things to that. So the 21st, not happening. And some of you only knew about the 21st if you're on the Facebook group, because I kind of announced it over there. But we are going to get that scheduled. It's going to be huge. It's going to be awesome. We're going to literally cover everything we possibly can about hooking up studios, what to consider, what to buy, what not to buy, all that fun stuff. Mm-hmm. And we're going to try to expand that. So I'm going to probably say that again every about 20 minutes, just as new people come and go. But that one's going to have to wait a little bit just because of schedules.
Hello, Chile.
We got Wade in the house, Marcos in the house. We're ready to talk about some gear and anything. Questions? What do you got?
Yeah.
Let's see, what can we start off with?
Yeah. Well,
okay, hold on. Let's get some updates out of the way right now. The songs from the studio. We've had a little break on that because of just, again, comes down to scheduling. Episode 3, or sorry, I should say Song 3 and Song 4 are almost completely in the bag. Song 3, we're waiting to do vocals. And the vocalist is awesome. It's a friend of mine. She is badass, named Sophia Mojo. We've got a really cool tune. We had a keyboard player, Matt Little, joined us, who's a fantastic keyboard player. Then, of course, Ernesto, myself, and Minnow are on that one as well. So all we're doing right now, we're actually putting the first couple episodes together because they're already filmed and recorded. And hopefully sometime in the next 2 weeks, we're actually going to be recording the vocal tracks with Sophia. Once we have those dates locked in, we'll start releasing those episodes on that one. And we'll get through the mix and everything too. This is going to be a really fun track. And Sophia's, oh man, she's got some pipes. Just amazing. And then number 4 is completely filmed. We actually did this 2 years ago, pre-pandemic. We recorded this particular one, which will be Song 4. Didn't know quite what to do with it. Hal's even joining me on some double drumming on that. We have another fantastic singer, friend of ours, Alex Calise from Bat Farm. Last night, Ernesto and I actually did a couple bass guitar updates on that one. So that one is also, it's completely filmed, completely shot. We need to do the mix, and that's going to be episode 4. So there's going to be a ton of video coming out soon. I've also started this new one where I did some drum stuff first, and I have sent it to the first person who's going to write to it. More updates on that one soon. We'll see what happens with that, because I don't know what to expect. And then Ernesto's going to be on that one as well. And then we have a little thing to show you in a little preview from the video coming out this week about the control room makeover. And there's a handful of other videos in there too. We do have a list now of the things that some of the things we're gonna film based on questions from these live streams and some of the questions I've seen in the comments. and that sort of thing. So we're making a list. I've got something coming out with the Ecstasy, the Radial XTC, which maybe it's like using ecstasy. I don't know. I've got a stereo one over here now, so I'm gonna do a kind of a workflow thing with that, how I use it, and then I'm gonna show a couple other ways you can use it depending on what your setup is. Got some new guitar pedals. Where is it? It's not even right here next to me. Look at that. I thought I was prepared. There's some new some things with that coming in. So that's some of the first updates. Did I miss anything?
No, not really. You know. But are we going to talk about the last mic we tested?
You want to get into that right now?
I don't know. I mean, we can.
It's up to you.
No.
Okay.
No real rush.
We'll hold off a few minutes on that then. Yeah. So that's some of the overall things. There has been a lot going on of us trying to get a bunch of this content shot.
Yeah.
And some of it's just time of getting it edited, because like the songs from the studios, we end up with 7 or 8 hours of footage that we have to go through and then parse into 3 or 4 part series and kind of have a storyline. So it just takes a little bit of time. So we're trying to get ahead on that end, so we always have something working.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to shoot some of the other stuff based on questions and that I've seen in the comments from people. And then we're trying to I'm trying to buy some of this gear too. Yeah. So. Help support the channel. It could really go a long way for us buying this gear to do these demos.
Wade did a nice comment. Like, I follow quite a few channels, and ours is the best video and sound quality.
That makes me happy. Thanks, Wade.
Yeah.
We try. I like it to sound good. I don't want to go back and listen to something we did and it doesn't sound right.
Well, what is the one thing we always go crazy about is when things are out of sync.
Yes,
right?
That drives me nuts.
We've seen a lot of like big broadcasts, like whatever channel it was. When the audio's out of sync, it's like, oh my God, it's like, nobody checks that.
You're talking and it doesn't. that we spend a lot of time making sure that is, because I want you guys to enjoy it too. We both want you to enjoy all this. It's easier to have a conversation when it doesn't look or sound like crap, and makes people want to stay around. So. I saw Ralph say something. Hi there, Pearl.
I see. He's a big Pearl fan.
I love cheap Pearl drums. Exports, forums, they've got a vibe. Had a band in recently called Voodoo, which I did a quick YouTube short on. I think I put something up on Instagram as well. And the drummer had a Pearl export with pinstripes on it. And to me, that is one of the coolest sounds. A Pearl export with a pinstripe on it. Just, you tune them right, and they just sound cool, man. Yep. You don't have to spend a lot of money. You don't.
No. So, funny thing that Marco says, like, because you asked, what should we talk about? Weird mics.
I like weird mics.
Yeah. And I said, weird and good. And then he goes, that's a great T-shirt.
Oh, that is a great T-shirt.
Yeah, weird and good.
I also have another T-shirt idea I'm working on. It's called Boring is Boring. I was explaining something, talking about mixing to someone the other day, and it's like, there's kind of sounded good. I'm like, yeah, good, but it sounds, it's kind of boring, and boring is boring. There it is. That right there was some wisdom. Confucius says.
Yeah. Yeah, you want to talk about the nice technical mishap yesterday with the thing over there?
I've never had a technical mishap in my life. Not once. It's never been my fault. It's always been my fault. Oh, you mean with the...
Yeah.
Oh, man. Okay. We should have... I didn't video that part of it. That would have been funny. Okay, so we're working on... I don't think you can see it. It's a little... Well, here.
Yeah, just bring it in.
So this guy. Uh-oh, I think I just pulled up. This puppy. Had this for a while now. And I've been so excited to use this, because we're going to do a lot of stuff with the good old 8-track reel-to-reel. We hooked it up, what, a couple months ago?
Yeah.
It would play. You could put it in record, but it wasn't rewinding. And when you would hit stop, this reel wouldn't stop, so it would keep, the tape would just start coming out. It looked like some crazy cartoon. So we took it apart. There was a pulley on the particular one that was loose, and it wouldn't stay on. So There was the belt that went around it, kept pulling the pulley off, and then it wouldn't work. Okay. Found a place, the Tascam Ninja, which talk about some killer parts for things. He's in Greece. Had that pulley, ordered one. Literally within 2 days of ordering it, the Greece mail system got hacked. They were shut down for a while, so it took like a month or so to get this part. Yesterday, we're excited. We're going to put it in. We're going to record something. We're going to have some video, record another little song, put it in, plugged it back in, new snakes, the whole 9 yards, hit play, playing right, stops right, rewinds, great. And then all of a sudden, it wouldn't play.
Well, when I hit record.
Oh, yeah. When you hit record, it just, nothing moved. Great. So then he hears the sound. Ah, crap. The pulley for this side, the old one, fell off. So we had to order a new part yesterday. I should have just ordered. See, the moral of this story is there were 2 of those in here. Should have just ordered replacements for both at the same time. They're like $35. I think with the exchange rate, they were like $44.
Yeah.
Should have ordered both at the same time. We would have been listening to some fun music off of this today, probably. But instead, I wasted a lot of time and didn't. So we have the other part coming in. We will get back to this 8-track soon.
But it looks great. All the lights work. Yeah, it's the buttons work. Everything works. It looks brand new.
It's in immaculate condition.
Yeah.
I mean, immaculate condition. So I can't wait to do some stuff with that. We're working on the next 4-track one too. We're actually trying to get the scheduling. It's always scheduling, man. It's scheduling. Let's see.
Did you narrate the Real TV cable show back in the 90s?
Do I actually sound like the person that did that? That's great. Okay, so what's next?
Well, you want to talk about the mic?
Yeah, let's go into that because that was actually kind of cool. So I don't know if any of you saw the V67X, the new one from Roswell.
Well, I'll pull it up.
Matt's just like releasing some really cool stuff. And we did a recording, was it last week? Last weekend, right?
Mm-hmm.
That mic was fantastic. We couldn't believe how good it sounded on everything. It has a total vibe. You gonna pull it up there?
Yeah.
All right, I'll get rid of it. You're in camera trace. No, you're in 2.
Yeah, so products, let's see. Catalog. Okay, so
and it's been kind of fun doing these recordings. Like, yeah, this guy right here, I'll cut it in there. It's been fun doing some of these recordings with like one mic, just getting to learn them and writing a song with them to see how it. You gonna enter to win?
So yeah, this guy.
There we are. It sounded really nice. It's got a transformer in it, so it's different than the other ones. And I think my favorite thing that we recorded with it though was the acoustics. Holy crap!
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, acoustic guitar sounded so good.
So yeah.
And what acoustic do you have?
Just a Fender with a cutoff.
But it's not a high.
No.
Right?
It's like a $400 Fender.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is not a bad sounding guitar at all.
No.
But it's not you're not writing home about it.
Had new strings on it, very important for acoustics.
And my Lord, that thing sounded so freaking good. But I think the fun part was the recording of a song with one mic again at a different mic than we did with the 251. Going, okay, get some sort of drum sound. Went through all my ride cymbals. I realized I need more ride cymbals. We literally didn't like any of them. The one we liked the best was the last one that made it on the video. But I've got to get down to Peisty and get yet another ride. I'm running low.
Yeah.
But the whole one mic thing sounding full, and Ernesto did the mix on that one and left a lot of it. You did a little bit to the drums and cut a little bottom end out just out of the acoustics, just the rumble.
But yeah, nothing else.
But nothing else. And it was really interesting to see still how full it could sound with one microphone. And the weekend before, I had like 18 mics set up on the drum sets.
Yeah. Yeah, so one mic on the drums, right? Just one mic. Yeah, so not like, hey, kick, snare, and overheads. No, one mic. Uno mico.
That means one mic in Spanish, if you guys don't know. I'm multilingual.
Un micrófono solamente. So, do you have a video for that?
Yeah, here, let me do that.
Yeah.
I'm just going to play just the tune part because it's only 58 seconds. We wrote this one nice and short. Let me get this thing up. All right, I'm going to cut myself in and trace. Now, the best part of that video by far was the stick spinning at the end. I mean, that's some talent right there.
That's the best part.
I mean, Tommy Lee, Glenn Sobel, who? They don't know how to spin sticks like me. I only did it because no one else was in the room, so I didn't poke any eyes out. But I was really impressed with that mic. The acoustics sounded great. But I think we're going to do this with some of the... There's a few other mics we like to do it with, and we are keeping track of some of these conversations. Well, he's keeping track. I say I'm keeping track, but I never write it down. He's writing it down of these other mics that we've used because I kind of like this idea of taking a particular mic and running it through everything and getting to know it, which is what we usually do. Get a new piece of gear, put it on everything, see what it does, see how it sounds, get to know it, right? But I like to do this with a handful of other mics again, where we write these short songs and you just put it on as many instruments, come on, Charlie, talk, as possible, just to get to know the microphones. And then video it and share it with everybody because you never know. You might find some stuff you really dig.
Yep. Stop the dog.
Yeah, there's there is. She's literally laying next to Ernesto over there, and I can't. There is no Delilah snoring filter.
Totally thrilled about this.
I'm working with RX to get a specific Delilah, plug-in to go in there, so the snoring filter. But so far, no luck. So she just rules everything.
Yeah. But yeah, so what we discovered about the mic was just it added a nice color, right? That's the whole point of mics, right? It's like the color. They imprint, right? If you go for
or don't imprint for that matter, yeah. But I think what Matt was going for here is filling out that line of the mini Ks so they each have something different, and they do. I did last week. Anthony from Iron Point was over. We recorded all the mics with one of their tunes for NAM for Matt, and we heard them literally back to back in like a 20-minute span, and it was really interesting how each one of them definitely had its own character, which was cool. So if you get those, if you had those several mics in your mic locker, you've got some different options. I saw one question go by that I actually do want to talk about because I was just talking to someone else about this. Where to go?
Man, she's having a major dream.
Oh yeah, she's going at it. Okay, summing mixers from, was it Emusia? Did I say that right? Summing mixers, necessary or not? That's an interesting way to phrase that question.
Yeah.
Because we could say necessary if I was just going to look at that word, Bill Clinton, it depends on what the word is.
Yeah.
If we're just going to look at the word necessary, no. Because what is actually necessary, right?
Yeah.
But this is a conversation I had with Sammy Watson, who we're about done mixing his album, and he had done everything in the box on some of the initial mixes, and now that we're doing them and all the drums are getting broken out completely on the board, and then some of his other stuff I'm just stemming out on the board, things that he had lots of automation and had already worked on having move all over, we left that. But I would just pull it up on individual summing tracks on the board. Without touching anything in what he had done, he would he would hear it differently. And I'm sending him high quality. He's in Portland, or sorry, not Portland, outside of Seattle. So I'm sending him real high audio quality mixes via the Audio Movers plugin. But without me even touching his stuff that he had already done to try to get it molded to the new drums, he'd be like, what'd you do to the vocals? What'd you do to this? I hear this differently. Oh, I didn't hear that before. I'm like, I didn't do anything. All I did was pull it out onto the console on a few extra tracks and just let it have a new space. And this is one spot where I think, I'm going to try to word this carefully, because this isn't I don't want to pitch this as an either or. Yeah. This is not a debate. But this is, well, it kind of is. This is one area that I think analog does something that digital doesn't do without working really, really, really hard in digital to make it happen. And that's just space. You know, and this, I think summing mixers can do a good job at this as well. But just by pulling it out on those extra channels without touching any of his other mix besides the drums, all of a sudden it was open and we had some depth that was not there before. And he heard it instantly. And he knows, because he's heard these songs a million times in the last couple, 3, 4, 5 years, however long he's been working on this stuff. So he really knows where the parts were at. And I thought that right there was a testament to, okay, just pulling it out on the board with a few extra channels, just separating them a little bit, did something right there to the depth and the width of it. And this goes back to the old studio we had down in Hollywood. Our neighbor was this producer named Michael Patterson, who's really good. I mean, he's still doing, I think he's mixing movies and stuff now, but oh my Lord, he's an amazing mix engineer and producer. And we had this Allen and Heath board, just the 24, like the G24 G or whatever it was. And he popped this, he used to pop his head in the studio just randomly and just pop in, hey guys, have you tried this before? No, well you should. And one of them one day is like, hey, have you ever just stim your mix out on the board? And we're like, but it's just an Allen and Heath. He goes, so what? Do it. And we did it. All we did was took drums, guitar, bass. I remember this day because we had the in the box mix, and then we got to listen to it against just pulling it out, and it was different. And it was different in a way that was nice, because it was all of a sudden the width was a little bit different and the depth was a little bit different. And that was something just on an Allen and Heath, which I won't knock those boards. Allen and Heath makes some good stuff for the money, man. So if you guys are needing live gear, or you have the home studio and that's a board, those 24, whatever that thing was, they sounded good. Yeah. But I noticed it right away. So necessary, I would say no. But I would say they can help you get some width and depth easier, more easily. Yeah. I'm from Kansas. English not my first language. More easily than trying to use 50,000 plugins in the box to create that same depth. So it could take, if you're looking for some of that width and depth, it could get that automatically, and then you could go do all the other stuff you like to do in the box that way. So a good summing mixer, I think, could be very beneficial. Very. Even if it's not a console of any sort. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I say that's my long-winded kind of take. And it's interesting that question came up, because Sammy and I were just talking about that on Thursday or Friday in our mix session, about some of these things that are different that I hadn't even touched. And all I did was pull up on the damn board. Yeah. And he heard it differently instantly. Yep.
There's something that analog, separating on each track does to the signal. It separates it somehow. I don't know, nicer.
I think it's some of it's the chaos of it, because okay, take this Trident for instance. It's the new era of Trident, so the consistency from channel to channel is really, really good. But you still have solder joints, you still have all these things in there. So even if you're just tiny tolerances are different, you still get that little bit of chaos that makes things feel different and set different. So, oh, what else? I see a 4047. What?
Yeah, because he says, why is nobody talking about Audio-Technica mics?
Because they're awesome. Oh, wait, that's not a good reason not to talk about them. The 4047 is a desert island. Sean, that's awesome. Love it. 4047 is a desert island mic for me. It is, of all the Audio-Technicas, probably my favorite. And I have quite a few Audio-Technica mics, actually. But the 4047, it's one of those mics that you can put on anything, and it will always work. Overheads, acoustic guitar, kick drum, bass guitar. Yeah. What else? We've used it on literally everything. It can handle a ton of volume. I mean, crazy volume. Plus, it has the pad. And if you can either get it as cardioid only, or you can get it with multi-pattern. So it's a mic that you get a lot of bang for your buck. 4050 is on the clean side of that, but I prefer the 4047. It's really nice. AE 3000s, I use those on toms a lot. Also not a bad electric guitar mic if you have it on a cab. It does something really nice in the mid-range. Yeah, I think the Audio-Technica thing is interesting because they make great stuff. But I think it gets possibly lost in the shuffle because there isn't some, sexy vibe around them. It's not a Neumann, or it's not next, great boutique mic or whatever.
Yeah, not an AKG. Yeah, see, they don't have the legacy of big studios or producers or engineers talking about, I'm using this Audio-Technica.
But a lot of them actually use them.
Yeah,
so
yeah,
it's,
but,
there's, and live, I think a lot of people use them, because they're built to last. I mean, I've dropped my 4047s. It makes me cry a little when it happens and I freak out. They still work. Some of the dynamic mic, they have a new dynamic drum pack out that is really nice. It's not new. It's probably a couple years now, but, anything in the last couple of years seems like it was out yesterday. But they make great, really, really good stuff. Yeah, and the 4047 is awesome. The 2500 is interesting. If I'm not mistaken, that's the dual capsule mic. Because I know that a lot of people like to use it on kick, and I don't like it on a kick. I do like it on a bass cab, though. Because it's got the dynamic, if it's the one I'm thinking of, has the dynamic and the condenser element in it right next to each other, so they're perfectly aligned. On a bass cab, watch out. That's a good mic. Really good mic. I'm always reading yours. I don't know. I got one kind of right in front of me.
So yeah, and the other thing we were talking about is like, what other subjects, besides the ones we know already, the hooking up studios, what other subjects would you guys like to discuss?
Actually, hold on. Before that, I'd like to roll that back one. Pertaining to studio hookup, whatever it may be, whether it's how to analyze summing mixer in there, whether it's patch bays, you've got a 2 mic input, a 2000 mic input. That'd be a big studio. Any of that. What are some of the challenges or questions you guys have had on that? I'd like to get that stuff in here in our list so we can add that, because we're actually going to have a meeting with Scott. We're going to lay out a whole thing. We're going to have a PDF to put out of kind of the things we're going to cover. So if you've got any of that, throw it in the comments so we can write it down.
Exactly.
Oh, 4040, I see come up on there. Yes, that is the 4040, I think, is a fantastic budget sounding mic. It works. I actually lent mine to Mike Nealon. He's been using them for his overheads on his kit. And they work really well. It's kind of your cardioid 4050, although it is voiced a little bit differently. It's not quite as smooth as the 4050, but it's fairly similar. And it works really, really nice. Yeah, the A3 and the A3000. I got 5 of those because I saw, I think it was Chris Baseford. This is a video many moons ago. Chris Baseford was working at Aquarium Studios, Tommy Lee's studio, and he was using those on all the toms. And I was like, oh, that's cool. And the form factor, you can fit them in tight spaces. I'm like, man, if that can handle somebody as loud as Tommy Lee, that's going to handle me or most people that come here. I like the size of them because you can sneak them in spots that are sometimes tough to get a mic in, and they would do a really nice job.
I wish more new studio guys knew how to put a mic on a stand and wrap a cable properly. Watching them spin a whole shock mount around is painful. Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's a skill that,
yeah,
has been lost.
But also depends on the mic stand, right? Because if you have those huge arms that don't have a spinning telescope, then yeah, you have to spin the shock mount.
Yeah, like the big overhead ones. Yeah, but these, you should loosen this and you spin this. Goes right on instead of the shock mount. Yeah,
that's the normal way. Yes.
Okay, I see who just said this. Edwin pointed out. Now this would be an interesting mic to check out. The Behringer 19A, which looks like their take on the Shure. What is that? Is it the 91? 91A or whatever it is?
91A, yeah.
You have that text file up?
Mm-hmm.
Stick that one in there. This console side chat's starting to cost me a lot of money.
Okay, Behringer.
Yeah, I've never been an Audix D2 fan. That mic is just too nasally for me. I know a lot of guys like it. Every time I've ever used it, I've replaced it with almost anything else, and anything else I replaced it with sounded better. There's just something it does like this that I don't like. I'd rather have a 57, I think. But that's just me.
Yeah, I mean, Jesus.
I mean, the D6 is, if you need that click and a kick, put a D6 in there and you're done. Metal for days. What else? Oh, the Ashley. Oh, those Ashley stereo. I haven't used those. I've looked at those Ashley compressors before, Marcos. I'm kind of interesting. The ART comp, which one? Is it the Pro VLA? Is it one of the other ones? Pro VLA is great. Marcos, calm down, man. Not going to hate you for liking Audix mics. But I think an i5 is cloudy to me. But I also think we tend to use the old Unidynes more than the actual new 57s because they're more open. Matter of fact, we need more of those.
Yeah.
But if you can find a Unidyne 3, those are the 57s to get. But they'll usually cost you a couple hundred, maybe $250, $300. Or during the middle of the pandemic, I saw people sell them for $500, $600.
Yeah.
I'm not buying an old 57 for that. But if you can find a Unidyne 3 in the 250-ish range, give or take a few pennies, that's a good mic to have. And it is different than a 57.
Yeah.
I know Shure has said that they didn't change anything,
but that's garbage.
But it's, I don't know, something in the manufacturing process. Maybe it's some of the ingredients in the solder or maybe there's something in there that is definitely different. So
Yeah,
I'm not a tech guy. I wish I was smarter on that end of things.
I mean, just being those two mics, you go like, oh my God, this is not the same. Yep.
Yeah, I know. See, and this is what I like about this. I don't think the i5 is a bad mic. If you made me record with it, I'd be okay, I wouldn't have a problem with it. It's one of the ones from them that I actually like better. But I don't know if I'd ever call it incredible. But that someone else does, and that's the beauty of it. So now we'll probably have to get one in here and put it up and see what we can get with it. Yeah.
Yeah, Austin Audio, they started doing the whole changing the capsule cardioid, hypercardioid, or omni based on frequency. So they have those type of mics. And so that's like really getting, it's almost having like a multipressor in your mic, so
what? You said multipressor in the mic, and my ear perked up right there.
Yeah. So Austrian Audio, it's the former AKG engineers. Yeah, they do some interesting stuff. Yep, totally. I haven't bought any, so you guys can send one. We totally check it out.
Yes, absolutely. There's enough Audio Technica talk on here. We're gonna have to pull some of those out and do some stuff again.
Mm-hmm.
With those, I mean, I used a 40. Oh, how did I forget about that mic? The 4080. It's one of my favorite ribbon mics. It's almost always on my rooms, but it's great on overheads. It actually gets a nice bass tone. It's just a really nice sounding ribbon mic. And Audio Technica is not really known for ribbon mics, but those mics sound great. But that is on almost every recording I do, and I always have a 4047 out. I use the ATM 250 a lot for the kick. I really like.
Townsend L22.
Cheap snare mic that sounds pretty cool is the Audio Technica Pro 63. It's brighter than a 57, so you can actually get a little air off a snare drum. And they're like $40 or $50. They're really cheap. I used that for years, actually.
Okay, never seen this mic. Townsend.
Oh, the Townsend. Yeah, no, I have actually never used a Townsend.
Oh,
I have
okay.
read a lot about them, though.
So it's a modeling. I see. Well, yeah. Well, 1,500. It's a good starting point.
I've heard that their modeling is better than
So yeah,
another
Well, look at
particular
that.
company that does it. But I haven't tried it myself, so I don't know. But I have read quite a bit about
Yeah,
those.
so dual capsule.
Yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, in a sense that they're doing the Austrian audio thing, so you can change the behavior of the capsules.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Wade, the 2020s. I remember that video. I think we used that old forum kit that I no longer have, but that under like, I think Hal was playing, or did I play on that? I don't remember. But yeah, we had the 2020s, the overheads, and they're under $100, I think. You know, those are, you know, one of those mics that for $100 they're so usable. You can't really go wrong with them. And some of it, remember, a lot of this mic stuff too is, we all have our personal tastes that are a little bit different, which is cool, which is important also because it makes sure we create different things with them. We all use, you know, get a bit different sound and then have a bit different philosophies on how to get those sounds, which I think is awesome. Otherwise, it'd be really, really boring if we all used the same thing and did it exactly the same. It'd be like snooze fest. But sometimes, and this is what I'm trying to do over the next couple months, is pull in the mics out that I haven't either used in a while or ones that I didn't use for certain jobs, and I want to do some of these videos and recordings we're doing that way just to see if maybe there's a new color or maybe there's a new emotion we can get out of some of this music by just changing up and you know, using something that you wouldn't normally use in a particular spot.
Yeah. Yeah, having different mics is like having different guitars. It's the same concept, you know. Fender sounds one way, and then a Gretsch sounds another way, and then a Les Paul sounds another way. So you just use it, and then we'll test that one again. And yeah,
I've had times where I stopped using a mic because I'm like, oh, this isn't really doing that good of a job for what I want it to do. And okay, well, I get something else. Go, oh, why haven't I been using this mic? And then I use it for, you know, a year goes by, and I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna try this mic again because I totally forgot about the year ago when I had this conversation in my head, and I pull that mic out and I put it up and I go, oh man, this sounds better than what I've been using. Why haven't I been using this mic for the last year? And then I use that one, and a year goes by, and I pull out another one, do the same thing. It's funny how your ears hear things different as time goes on. Or, you know, maybe you get smarter, or maybe you just, I don't know. I think our ears do change, you know, a little bit as we go. We either start to hear better or hear differently, or start to even understand how we can use the different mics just to get different vibes, which I think is important. I think vibe is ridiculously important.
Yep. See, Wade already blames you for having him spend mics on the K47, so he says the console side chats are expensive for him too.
My credit card runs away every Sunday. Nice. So I think I'm gonna have to check these Loudons out. I mean, actually, like, not just read about them. I think, you know, some point, you know.
Yeah, totally. All right, so
may have to try to get
let me
something.
write down.
There's just so many to try.
Oh yeah.
And it's been so. And I think the other thing is trying to get all this video and do these things too. Is I had a full plate here of sessions on top of it, just one after another, mixing and doing a lot of remote mixing lately, and then a few of the bands that we're producing and just trying to. It's you know, this whole sleep thing. I'm not even sure I can spell that anymore.
Well,
I don't even know what day it is.
Yeah.
What day is it? Day Tuesday?
Yeah. Well, why don't you just tell quickly how you improved your remote?
Yeah.
Because you know that's a reality, right? It's like some of you that you mix probably can get a gig, but if you don't have a good remote setup,
but also I've used it for more than mix.
Yeah.
But the mixing is the big one, yeah. But and I'm sure some of you may be using this already, but the Audio Movers Listen to plugin, and they have a standalone out for it too. I've been using that for all the mixes lately, and it works really well. I've sent out just high quality AAC, but our connection's fast enough here that I've been sending out just full uncompressed audio to the artist, and the latency is like half a second, I think. It's really, I mean, I think there's less latency on the stream that I'm sending than there is in the Zoom chat that we have. So what I did is to make things a little easier for myself, because I used to set, you know, I'd be here at the console, I have an iPad in the middle of it so I can look forward and I can do the thing, and I got the computer screen in front of me so I can make my changes. And it was driving me nuts having the iPad sitting in the middle of the console. And then the battery dies, and I got to run the power over the top of the console. Like, oh, I hate this. So I bought, I don't know if you can see them. It is a little dark back there, but these right next to the monitors. Let me see if I can point to it. Oh, I can't see there. Right there. There's these little $20 speakers I bought off Amazon. And I plugged them directly into the Mac, so they're out of the headphone jack or the line output. And only go to Zoom. So I have a Logitech. Yeah, so you can see that a little bit better now. Let me get out of the way. And then the Logitech is up on top of the monitor, right next to the GoPro that we use to film some of the stuff. So I use the Logitech camera looking at me. You can see the top of the console, so the artist, they can kind of see what's going on. I use the mic in the Logitech that goes right into Zoom or Skype, whatever we're using. And then I have the computer, or those speakers just plugged into the computer, and that's all they get used for is Skype and Zoom. And that way, artists can talk to me continuously, and it's right in front of me. I don't have to turn my head for anything, and it's just, I can be working, we can be listening, and they can be calling out stuff. I can literally be working, they're talking, here in stereo. So easy. They can even see fader moves and some of the stuff that's going on. And then they're hearing this high-quality audio coming from the Audio Movers plugin, which is on the print laptop, which is, well, he's got the print laptop right now, but it sets up, if you just look over Ernesto's left shoulder with the patch bay, that goes right on top of the patch bay, and that's directly hooked to the Apogees, and that comes back on the 2-track on the console. So I can monitor, I'm monitoring that, but I don't have to have any extra mics plug in. There's no extra latency going. I don't have to take up a channel on the console or in the print computer, anything for a mic. And then I can just have the little screen come up over Logic with the Zoom or the Skype, and then I can just mute myself when I need to with the mouse. I'll probably look at getting a Stream Deck at some point to do it even more automated. But it works so well. I just started doing that last week. I actually just put that stuff in Friday to clean things up a little bit, and it works really, really well. The other thing I've used the Audio Movers plugin, if you're doing any, like some of my clients are not in LA, but they're musicians that they want to use are. So we'll do a session here, drums, whatever. I'll do the same thing. The print laptop can get used. That whole chain can get used during tracking also, because I have it permanently hooked up to the outputs of the console. So I can always send over to the Allen Smart C1, SSL EQ, the Ultraviolet, Rupert Neve tape emulators into the Apogee. So that's all I have to do on we're doing tracking. I hit the 2-track and I'm running through all that. Now we're hearing things sounding a little bit cooler. But I use that even in a session to send really good quality audio to somebody in another state, another country, so they can sit in on the session, actually hear the sounds that we're tracking and not through some crappy Zoom or Skype link or whatever. Really hear what they sound like. And the same thing, I can pull up Logitech or a laptop or whatever, and we have audio. So they're sitting there with us, and we use it during tracking a lot too. It's really, really good to use. And it's not that it's a monthly thing. It's like I think I pay $9 a month or $10 a month, something like that. So it pays for itself pretty quickly, actually. So yeah, so that's been a huge change for me anyway in the remote mixing and tracking, is using that Audio Movers. But those stupid little speakers, $20. And they look pretty cool.
Well, I would say, why don't you, since,
Snail Mail. It goes out on cassette. Here, hold on, let me print it to cassette, put it in the mail. I hope I put enough stamps on it. Yeah. That's great.
Why don't you show the video of what you went through to get...
Wow. All at once? We got to save something.
Yeah, I mean, it's, nobody's asking any specific questions, so...
That's not good. I'll talk forever, so...
Yeah.
Pony Express. That is, man, this is one end of technology that I love, being able to, work with someone somewhere else in real time and have everybody be able to hear it well enough to make actual informed changes and decisions. And it's as close to sitting in the same room as you can possibly be, So I dig that. What's he saying?
Exacto. He says, just put all the meat on the barbecue, none of this like piecemealing, So just put
that. If I understand that correctly, yes, I can say this. this way of mixing for me also is when you get everybody involved. It's like I'll mix for half a day on my own, get it to where I think it's ready to go. I think it's right, and I'm ready for the artist input to get all the final touches, the things that I don't know that they want or whatever, or just massaging things. And you do it in real time. It's cut my recalls down to, to like 99.9%. Like with Sammy, I have a couple, but those songs were really dense. But it's eliminated them almost completely. And you know what? It's fun. I like being able to, if the artist isn't here, being able to pull them in at the end of the mix and you kind of finish things up and you're going back and forth. And sometimes it leads you to do something that neither one of you thought you were going to do, that if you had to do it via email or Pony Express, man, it would take forever. And then you miss, emails, it's too easy to miss, kind of understand a question or a comment,
Yeah.
So I hate that. I hate that stuff. I like to schedule it and do it together.
So yeah, just to show the.
Wade, I'd love to hook up with Sweetwater to do some of that. That would be cool. Or any of those companies that could help kind of do things, because I'd like to be able to do more gear and have stuff that we do. It takes dough.
Any tips for writing songs alone? Well, it's usually what helps is transcribing. Transcribing just gives you more ideas, because then you figure out a new corporation, and you don't have to steal a corporation. You can just borrow it. And yeah, so if you write alone, just sometimes to get a fresh perspective on music or harmony, just transcribe.
That actually is a good, if you can, if you can't do that, just even listening, just doing we do this a ton, where we literally for hours will sit and just listen. I mean, we've been on the phone talking about something coming up and someone pulls up a song, and then all of a sudden he's like, oh, this thing I was listening to today, and then I go pull it up, and we're on the phone going back and forth listening to whether it's different chord changes or how they use, melody in something, or the way that they, doubled or didn't double a vocal or something like that. And then we translate that into some of the artists that we're working with. So a good way to get ideas when you don't have someone to bounce ideas off of is simply sit and listen and analyze what you're listening to. You have to almost separate your enjoyment of music brain from your analytical brain a little bit. And I will say it does suck once you get stuck in that analytical side and you just, it's hard to enjoy it, to come out of it. But it's been I will say this for me anyway, and I know it's probably the same for you, but it's been a really great way of capturing a new idea that you can use in something that you're already writing. You listen, you go, oh man, I love listen to what they did with that guitar. Yeah. We got to try this in this is whatever song we're working on. Or one of the artists that we're getting ready to finish producing, the Key of F, some of the doubling ideas we've taken that we've used to show them how we want to do it. We've actually taken, there's an Aussie reference comes up, and there was a couple for them. There was I can't remember what the artist was, because this was a while ago when we had these conversations, but there was one of the artists that they liked that was kind of a punk rock thing. And we went through and went, okay, let me analyze and listen to some of what they like so I can understand what they're hearing. And then we pull like some techniques from that. Oh, this artist doesn't do any doubling, or, hey, listen to the way that they do the guitars here. We can pull those concepts into the songs that we're working on. So we're in some ways, it's like we're bouncing ideas.
Yeah.
We're letting the artists that we're listening to bounce the ideas off us. And we're just, sometimes you are stealing ideas, but there's no way around that. And it won't be completely stealing, because you'll do it in a different way.
Yeah, I mean, writing on your own, yes.
Okay, demos, hold on, let me read that again. Getting interested in an idea. When someone else shows me something, the idea. Yeah. I think I'm a little bit the same. I get a lot of the ideas that I come with that we write or what we're doing. I'll get one or two of them, and then I'm stuck. Or I have this as a starting point, and I'm like, okay, now I call him, or we bring Minnow in, and all of a sudden the group starts getting ideas, and then they start flying around, and that breaks my head out of being stuck also. So I totally get what you're saying there. But I would say one thing, when you're writing, you can't write and try to mix and do that side end of things at the same time because they're two different brains. I'm making sure I'm not going to talk out of both sides of my mouth here. I would say you shouldn't try to do those. I would say when you're writing, try to get your ideas out without thinking of making it sound exciting yet, because the arrangement is a huge part of making it sound exciting. Huge part of that. If the arrangement is right, it is a lot easier to make something sound sonically good, but also exciting to listen to. Because then you can get into, okay, I've got the parts and the arrangement, things move in the right way, something new comes on here, I take something away here, then it comes back. That's exciting. Sometimes that excitement is I need that second chorus to hit, or I want it to feel bigger, but my verse is so big. Take something away from the verse right before you're going into the chorus. Or, this would have been good. The song that we were redoing bass for, which will be song number four of the songs in the studio, we did that in the second verse, where we had the first and second verse were similar for the most part. You know, chorus, you know, you're in. Then the second verse comes, it's the same thing, but to make it feel different, so it launched into that second chorus and felt like it opened up again. We have this going, and then a similar chorus hit, but because we changed the last 4 bars of the verse and we got everybody staccato, so everybody's moving linear together, bump, 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 and took away all the openness. When that chorus came back and the big guitars hit and the bass is pumping and the drums are crazy again, the same exact chorus that was on the first one felt even bigger because of what we took away or changed right before it. And that's a really cool, I don't want to say trick. These words trick and hacks gets so overused, but it's a useful arranging tool. Yeah. I'll call it that. Yeah. Those kind of things. Yep. The other thing is, I would recommend, is there someone that you know that you could just even send an idea you have to? Maybe they're not in the same town as you, but you could just send stuff to start working and writing together and just getting some feedback on it. You know, and maybe it'll jolt some new ideas in. But I think if analyzing music that you like, analyze music you don't like too, actually. That's a good thing, 'cause sometimes you'll learn something there. Because those are the ideas. It's like practicing, right? You learn something new. That first day you learn it, it's not internalized yet. You don't own that thing that you're working, that technique, that theory move, whatever it is. You don't own it yet because you just learn it. It's in the front part of the brain, right? Tomorrow you forget it. You got to learn it again. You got to learn it again. A week goes by, 2 weeks go by. All of a sudden you're working on it. That starts seeping into the deep parts of your brain. And now it's a tool that starts to come out and you can use. It's the same thing with songwriting. You know, you've got to kind of build up some of those tools and those little tricks. And I think you can do that by analyzing music as much as possible. Yeah. You know? Totally. So those things become a part of your writing and you can pull on them a little bit more. Yep.
Or take a band like Queen. Every single time the verse comes again or the chorus comes in, there's a slight change in the arranging.
Yes.
Every single song they did. And that's brilliant.
And we actually do, I'm not saying we're Queen, but we do a lot of that in the stuff we do, even the more rock stuff that seems more straightforward at first. There's a lot of little ranging things that we like to change as we're going on. It might just be one thing or two things as it goes, but it's just enough to keep it moving. And AC/DC did that too. If you do a deep dive, listen to AC/DC, listen to the bass parts. Because I think a lot of us, myself included, I don't want to say everybody does this, but I think we do this. We put a band like that on, and you're listening, and it's killer, and you're hearing the Phil Rudd or the Angus Young, or maybe you're into the Malcolm thing, but you don't listen too deep into the rest of it. And there's some amazing bass lines in AC/DC that are moving constantly that change things up. Oh, that leads me to my next thing: bass lines. I'm a huge fan of bass lines being more than just the typical. Sometimes the typical works, like good old eighth notes in a rock song. It's hard to beat that. But you know what? Quarter notes. A bass player that can come in and rock a quarter note. Ozzy's Ultimate Sin. Yeah. Bonk, gong, 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 gong. Who's the bass player on that? It wasn't Daisley, was it? I'll have to look that up. But this dude's groove on these quarter notes felt so strong. It almost moved that song more than the drums, than Castillo beating the crap out of the quarter notes on the toms.
Yeah, no, I think Daisley recorded on that album. I don't know if he recorded on that song, but he recorded on that album.
We'll have to look that up because that's amazing. But bass lines are huge. I think you can use them to move. You can even keep guitar parts static and have the bass move. That's one thing I love about working with Minnow on some of these things we've been doing is a lot of the times it comes in and I've got a quasi bass line going. I kind of start hearing that, so I give it to him and go run with it, and he makes it always better. But I was also talking to another artist we're working with, the Blood Feast Ritual guys, some of the death metal. Michael Ball is coming in and doing a couple of his own. They're like prog melodic death metal. It's crazy. But some of those original bass lines were just like a third guitar part. It's like, come on. There's so much cool arranging you can do with the bass line, rhythmically and harmonically underneath what you're doing in guitars, regardless of style, but that can really enhance the tune. So if you're a guitar player and that's how you're writing, pull out the bass. Get something down if you're stumped, pull out a bass. Go buy a cheap, if you don't have one, just go buy a cheap bass, anything. Just to have it. And then spend some days trying to write from that angle, new angle. Or maybe you know a little bit about a keyboard, pull out your controller, sit at a piano and go, okay, I'm stuck writing the guitar parts, it doesn't seem like it's working. Go to the piano and see if you can spark something new. Sometimes it's a change of perspective, gives you a new angle on the songs you're working on. And that, if you're working alone, can be a sometimes can be a breakthrough by just seeing it from a completely different angle. So I don't know. That's some of the different things I would try. Oh, good. You're a bass player. So do you write from the bass perspective? How are you writing? That'd be interesting. Because I write, like some of the stuff we're doing now, the only way I write's on a piano. And I'm not a great piano player by any stretch of anyone's imagination. But sometimes the parts I hear are not piano parts, and I just hammer out fifths or whatever, and I send it to him and go, I hear this as a guitar riff. Or that first songs from the studio, it was actually the chords and the bass line that I heard, and just recorded that and go, okay, here's the thing that I want to start with. I hear this as a bass and chords, and we went from there. If I was a better piano player, I'd probably write some piano songs, but that's why I had Nikhil and guys like Matt Little come in. What have I missed? You guys been having a conversation. What are we talking about over here?
No, he says, no, right from guitar. I like to start from drums, then guitar riffs, then I bounce back and forth from bass to guitar.
All right, start from a different angle next time. Do a different workflow.
Yep.
Like force yourself to do a workflow. Write some. Okay, here's an idea. I don't know what kind of music you write, so this could be a ridiculous idea, but it might actually help. Because we did this a little bit yesterday. Ernesto's got this new pedal that we're going to use on an upcoming tune. What was the boss? It was some synth pedal, right? Because I've been asking, I want to do this synth pop stuff, but I don't want to use synths. I want to use guitars to create it all. So he's been looking for pedals. Yesterday, I wanted to try it with some bass on something we were doing. So we sat for a couple hours going through it with bass guitar and found some really cool ideas just playing some bass parts. It didn't fit what we were trying to do, but in that, him playing some of this stuff, we go, ooh, there we could write over that. That's kind of different. Yeah. So maybe different instrument, could be a pedal, could be a plug-in, whatever you have. Try something that just forces you to go it at a different angle with a different instrument that you're writing first with. And see if that takes you on a new direction. Because sometimes you just need to mix it up.
Yeah, totally.
Because I used to write mostly from, a lot of our ideas would start with me coming up with, like, we'd get in the room and I'd come up with some groove thing and we'd start there. But that started to lend itself to the similar ideas over and over. I'm like, oh, we can't do that. Okay, let's do a guitar thing. Or
and sometimes pedals can change your writing process because you hear a different sound. You go like, okay, so I'm not gonna do my typical thing, so I have to do something else. And there you go. So yeah, that synth pedal was pretty pretty interesting. Boss SY1.
And we're gonna write some stuff with that where we just pull it in and we play something. Just gonna play it, maybe even start with the bass and just see where we find something that's that's interesting. Oh, where does that idea lead us to? I mean, this next song coming out, the third song for Songs from the Studio, I literally was sitting here one night late and I had this thing in my head and I went to the piano and I started hammering it out. And it wasn't a piano part, it was a guitar. I sent him to an iPhone video, like whatever it was, and I go, hey, turn this into a guitar part. I hear this as a guitar, and like 20 minutes later, he sends something back. It was perfect, and that was the beginning of that song. And then we went and figured out, well, what are the drums going to be to this? What is this going to be, you know?
Look at how...
Yes, Hal is always watching from the future.
Oh, always.
Because technically he is in the future in Taiwan from where we are.
Yeah.
Because it's tomorrow there. And Hal's going to be back in town. So guess who's back? Back again. We're going to do some videos together. He doesn't know it yet, but we are doing it.
Andrew says, a brother-in-law found a nice 24-channel 12-bus Trident here locally at a great price. Trying hard not to outbid him.
Oh, brother-in-law? I'd outbid him. It's your brother-in-law. It's not your brother. And then tell him he can come over and use it sometimes. Now that's not cool.
All right. Why did you just show the video? I mean, you did the whole bounce for it.
Okay. This is a part of video that's gonna come out this week that's on kind of the rest of this, how some of the whole change in the control room happened and the ridiculous mess of cables that was here before. But this is a little piece from it because I see this and it just makes me laugh every time I see what it was before and what it is now. So this is, let me pull this up. This is a little chunk of what's going to come out this coming week. What am I on? I'm on 3. It is time for all of this to change, except for the console. Holy crap. We have successfully removed the racks. And as you can see, there is a ton of dust and a fair amount of Delilah hair. And here's the other side. So this side, I still have, these racks are coming out. But I have a fair amount of cabling still to pull there and then a little bit of cleaning to do. So I told her it was time to get to work. And here's what happened.
Screw this head first. What's it called? The
Guys did a great job. Let's see if I get an angle where I can actually see what's going on here. There we go. Oh. Cut holes for all the cabling. There's one on each side, so I'm still gonna have one rack over here so all that cabling can run cleanly through. And you see over here, I've got 2 in the middle there, and then one on this side for all that cabling to come back. Okay, here's where we are. I'm really happy. The guys did a great job building these. Holy crap, look at this mess of cables. Look at that, look at that. It's not done yet. Look at that, look at that, look at that, look at that. This is all cable I pulled out yesterday before we installed the racks. It's like, holy crap. And some of it is way longer than it needs to be. And that's what I'm gonna start cutting down now. Once I get to this part of it, and we're gonna cut to length, and I'm gonna do a lot of repinning, man. It's gonna be nuts. So that's a little bit of what's coming up in the video this week. And it's kind of interesting, and I'll kind of cover this in the full video, but since we're talking, just showed it. This whole cleanup thing was part of, I mean, not only did I want, to fit around the new console and get the racks, but this was kind of an evolution in where I wanted things. Because after all these years of doing this, finally figuring out what I want within arm's reach a little bit, what figures the best, and so much of what happened prior to this was you had some racks, you kept getting gear would come in, gear would go out. It never had like places that it went, and the room was constantly changing. You know, we bought 3 of those bit tree snakes that you got from Westlake.
Yeah.
Came out of another studio install with 12 and 24 pair Megami already pinned Elko and nice XLR and TRS on the other end. There was like 50 feet. We only needed like 15 feet, but it was done so nicely. We're not going to cut that stuff up, and it just gets wrapped up behind there, and then you put new gear in and you run what cable you have, and it isn't well thought out. So this, and I'll go through a little bit this in the video of why things ended up where they were a little bit and what I did to try to move things around, but it was a bit of an evolution of, okay, time to get this stuff right, cut some of this excess cable down. One, it makes it easier to find things and work. Also, sometimes even with a lot of balance cable, you can run into noise issues when you have so much extra footage going all over the place. And you know what? I'm probably not the only person with the freaking messy ass wiring spaghetti. So I'm going to own it and show it.
Well, yeah, because the whole point is when you have hardware and you want to use it, right, you need what's called a patch bay, right? And the patch bay is also a cost in itself because you have to buy the rack modules, right? And you have to buy the cables, and then you have to crimp it all, right?
Yeah, these Elkos. You're buying bags and bags of pins.
So if none of you ever seen that, so I have it here, right? What it is to because you have to buy those tools, right? This is a crimp, right? This is a little thing that does the connection.
That's the pin.
Yep.
Crimping is what you do to the pin.
Exactly. So you do it right here. This is where you crimp. Then you have what's called the extraction tool to when you want to take a pin out. And then this is the thing that you use. If nope, that's the wrong one. This one. This is what you use.
That's the crimp tool.
That's the crimp tool. So you need all those things just to create a patch bay. So all
and those
that
tools are that extraction tool is like $70 or $80.
I think it went up.
Yeah. So and I think this time I had 700 pins. I cut so much stuff down, and I wasn't even able to get to all of it because I'm looking at Wade's comment. You're right. It did start out fun as I saw it come together, which started kind of in January with the new console dropping in, and we were supposed to do this in January. But I got COVID right in the beginning, so I got the console in, and then I rewired through all of me sitting here with COVID and got that done. And then we went through 3 revisions of how the angle on the top of what these were going to be. And then it took, another couple months to finally get the guys to be able to build it, and then me find a window to install it. So I had a window. I started the night after Anthrax was in, I started ripping stuff out. That's where I shot those final videos. And I started pulling cables and all that. And that was a Tuesday night. And I had, what was it? I had a session, no, that was a Wednesday night, right? And I was going to try to be done by the following Tuesday because I had some mixes coming up that I needed to set up Wednesday and Thursday and Friday of the following week. Well, this was exactly fun for the hours the guys were there installing it, and I saw it come together, and then it was hell. Because I underestimated by about 8 days. I'm like, I'll get this done in 5 or 6 days. I had it planned out. I had all my extra cable. I had all my crimps. I had 700 pins ready to go. I had my soldering station. You saw the piles of cable ripping out, but I went through and organized things for what was what so I could start cutting and pulling in new and doing it. And I got into the following Wednesday, now 8 days in, going, I'm supposed to be mixing tomorrow, and I'm still missing 4 patch bays. And then I have drum sessions on that Saturday coming up, and the drummer was coming from out of town. So the mix was remote. So I had to call the artist, which happened to be Sammy, and go, dude, I really underestimated this. And I don't know what I was thinking. It took us 3 weeks to wire the studio the first time we did it with 2 of us, and Scott helping us for some of those days, and we had half the gear. So it took me, I think I had that drum session on Saturday, so now it's 10 days. And that Saturday morning at 3 a.m., I put the last patch bay in. I was exhausted. I was doing like 18-hour days. I didn't even test anything. I just like, oh man, the drummer's going to be here at 10 in the morning. I'm going to go get some shut-eye. I hope enough channels work for me to do this session. But then I had a mix for them the next day. Nothing was wrong on the recording side, except a few things in the inserts that I forgot that I had flipped. So I didn't use those inserts, whatever. Then I had to go to mix the next day. Now, I forgot I moved a couple patch bays around and I had extra 8 channels on the board. So my inserts for all my bus channels on the console moved over 8 channels from where they were. Well, the patch bay that they're in is a Bittree programmable patch bay by shunts on the inside. So you can make it normaled, half normaled, non-normaled, whatever. Well, I didn't move those shunts over. So now I'm trying to patch in and do my busing and get my groups on the buses and nothing's working. I'm like, what? Artists sitting behind me. I'm like, what the hell's going on? So I jump in the back of the console. I hardwire just a couple channels to get going. I'm like, okay, add to the list now of what's not working. And totally me forgetting one of those things that was in the patch bay to move over.
Yeah.
So all said and done after the troubleshooting, and I still have to put the labels on the patch bay. But I'm glad I waited because I'm going to rip off a Vance Powell trick. But after all said and done, it was about 14 days.
Yeah. Yeah.
By myself.
Yeah.
Holmes here decides to go out of town and leave me doing it by myself. That's the smartest move he's done all year. And I planned. I mean, I had it planned out and laid out. I was organized. I was just delusional.
Yeah. Yeah. Wiring a studio is man, it's a task. You have to really know what you need to do. You cannot wing it. It's impossible. So that's why, you know, we're going to set up this cool stream for that.
Okay, add the word clock thing to our list.
Oh.
That's actually something I want to put in the hookup thing, because that is something to talk about. Yeah, so stick that in the text file.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and that bass. Did we talk about that? I saw that come in. I wanted to say something. Yeah, Wade, he left the country, man. He was smart. Sean, I think you brought up that bass pedal, the SYB3, SIB3 is what I'll call it. Maybe that's what it is. That's definitely going on the list, man.
I work in telecom. Wiring is the majority of the project. Yep, that's right.
Yeah, but how the TRS patch bays are, that stuff only works if you have a little gear. There's no way we could do this here with TRS patch bays. It'd be, I mean, literally, it would more than double what we have going. It'd be such a pain.
And if you want routing flexibility, you know, you probably would need a two story tall patch rack.
Well, yeah, I mean, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We're at 9 TT patch bays right now.
Yeah. So yeah,
it would, if we were doing TRS, that would be 18 patch bays.
Yeah. So yeah, TT is
and the TTs
convenient.
don't wear out as they tend to be a little bit more reliable over the long haul if you're really using them. And that's something we're actually going to talk about in this big thing in July, and Scott's going to help articulate that too, because he's installed all of those so many times. That's going to be a really good one. Yeah, the word clock is what we're talking about.
Wiring a studio, I just did that 4 times in my Analog Studio. SSL with 46 dubs.
Yep. Yeah. Oh, yeah. So you know. Yeah, you know exactly what it is. And I'm getting ready to add 16 more inputs here in the control room that'll go into yet another patch bay that are all going to be combi jacks. So if we're in here, like we do the 4-track stuff, all I have to do, and it's going to go down over here to Ernesto's left on the bottom, that has our tie lines for the different rooms, and it's going to allow us to interface any gear that you bring in. Like we have the 4-track, we can go right into the combi jacks. It'll show up in the patch bay, patch into the Trident. If he brings us, 500 rack in, or we get some other pre's or things that aren't in here, we can go right into those combi jacks, which I hate wiring combi jacks. It's such a pain.
I know somebody who would.
Yeah, I mean, it does make things easier. But you can also do D-sub if that's the thing you want to do. You could also do the E3, which is probably a little easier than the Elko. Yeah. I mean, the Elko is great as long as you've planned out. It is really fantastic. It's not as fun if you're moving things around a lot, and that's not going to happen now. I mean, I built some extra channels in spots where I know stuff was going to go, and it was already sitting there. I'll go over all that in the video coming out this week, but the E3 is a little bit easier to deal with, and I think that's connections on a lot of the Neves, right? Didn't the Rupert Neves, they used the E3 in the back of those consoles?
Yep.
And the patch bays too.
Yeah, but it was a small patch bay. You know, I think it was just six modules. You know, so that's not big. Well, yeah, there you go. Andrew just replaced UA Apollo gear with RME. But
Interesting. Why? What was there? What was the reason for the change of gear there? Anything interesting, or was it just a functionality thing? Or I mean, they both make great stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, sometimes it's just you just like that product better, or you heard it and say, "Oh, I like that better," or you know, sometimes connections or the interface or a lot of these software, or I would say interfaces to come with their own mixing stuff. You know, so sometimes you just hate the way the mixer software works. You know?
Yep.
I don't know. So yeah, that's another big part of that stream that we'll do in July. It's just so many proprietary software mixers, you know, with the hardware. So you have, you know, that also a big part of decision making.
Yeah, crawling in attics, installing sound it's a lot. It is a lot of work.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm not going to say I'm great at some of my stuff. Turned out really well, but I got to the end of it, like of 10 days, going, I have to get back to work. So a few I didn't get to cut down exactly to length, but I was down to the shorter one. So it's way easier. It's way cleaner than it was. It's so much better. But when I see jobs done by people that really know how to wire, which I'll bet you do. Man, to me it's art, you know, when you see those jobs. Just I wish I could do that, but man, it's not easy.
Yeah. Well, see, Andrew says because of Maddie.
Oh yeah, the Maddie mix. Oh yeah, that's a whole different ballgame.
Yeah. Have we tried a Bluetooth patch bay?
I hate Bluetooth. I am so anti-Bluetooth anything. I don't even use Bluetooth earbuds.
No, it's still
the flock ones look interesting, but they're too expensive for how many I'd need.
Yeah. Yeah, Bluetooth. I mean, anything wireless is just not reliable. You know, it's cable is still the best way to go.
I can't stand the sound quality, and every time I see even Apple with the earpods, I've heard those, and I go, yeah, I can totally hear the.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm just a grumpy old man. Get off my lawn with your Bluetooth.
No, I mean, I think when you're doing serious audio, just going over the air, it's like, no.
Or he might have been joking there too.
Yeah.
I've never seen a Bluetooth patch bay, so that's,
you know, it's a possibility for the future. Hey, we're going all Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
But, I mean, let's put it this way.
Hey, Sean, I want to ask you about that. So the 4848. I had to rewire my patch bays and 2 18-space racks and racks. I had the regrets, but once it was done, totally. Yeah, I'm with you there. I'm curious. You went with the Presonus. That's the Quantum 4848, I'm assuming.
Yeah, probably.
What have you heard different from the Motu? I mean, the 24IO, which we have a pair of here too. Those things are old tech at this point, but just really reliable. But why did you decide to go with the Presonus? Was it a track count cost thing? Was it a sound thing? What was it? I'm curious, because I think if you're still on this, you guys installed a Quantum 4848 as well, if I'm not mistaken.
I sold my Apollos for 2 Quantum 48s.
Oh, okay, great. I'd love to hear your opinion on those, because that's going from Apollo, right? Which we could all agree that we think of, or at least gets in the space of high-end stuff, and it is. You use Apollos, they're fantastic.
Yeah, but not for big setups.
Right, they're a nightmare for that.
Yeah.
So was home recording, was that for going because you needed that much more connectivity? Was it a sonic thing? Was it all of that stuff?
Yeah.
I'm curious, because I'm actually, those Quantum 4848s I've been curious about since they came out, but I can't find that many people that are using them that I actually trust what they tell me. So I'm curious.
Yeah. And yeah, and I mean, the biggest part about any type of hardware or I/O for DAWs is how you use it. Are you using headphone mixing? You know, do you worry about latency? Are you using that whole direct monitoring thing? Or are you doing software monitoring? That all makes a big deal in terms of what hardware you pick and what system.
So Hal says he still has the 4848 because people here don't need that much I/O. But you have a ton of I/O in that thing.
Yeah.
It's 32 analog.
Yeah.
And another 16 of digital. And one rack unit. I mean, it's basically an Antelope Audio.
Yeah.
It's an Orion. Well, not okay. In connectivity, I know the DSP and stuff, completely different ballgame, and the metering and all that. That's the only thing I didn't like about the Presonus is the type of metering on the front. But home recording made easy. Can you go to the website and drop me an email via the website, theultimatestudios.inc.com, or even, I don't know if you're on Facebook, we have the Facebook group for this, which I think, oh, did I put that in the comments? Was I smart enough to remember? Oh, man, I didn't. Well, there's a link to the website where you can go and drop me a message, or let me get the Facebook page. If you're still on Facebook, you can go drop me a message there too. Yeah, I'd love to actually talk more about. I know some of this stuff is hard to do. It's easier for us because we can blab, blab, blab and talk about things. But when you're trying to type it into a chat, it gets kind of difficult. But I want to go back on one thing, talking about the producing, the songwriting. I would actually like to do. Maybe get a guest or two to come in that does some different songwriting stuff and have that as a topic of the day sometime. Okay. I think that's a great idea. And I have a couple ideas on who I can bring in too. Okay, hold on. Let me get this link. Lost my chat. All right, I'm dropping the link to the Facebook group in there. If you're on Facebook, come drop me a message or on the website too. I would love to talk more about that. Track count. Okay, Sean says track count was one reason. Also, I was told conversion was on par with the Antelope stuff by a few people I knew. When I built my new recording PC, I had Thunderbolt available and made the jump. Sean, are you digging it? Okay, let me read your next text. Also started adding more outboard, and that made sense for me for tracking. Are you digging? Are you happy with it? Is it working? Do you like the sound? I mean, details, man. As many as you can in the chat, of course. Andrew, Facebook is a devil. Yeah, I'm not going to disagree with you there. We only have so many ways to try to connect. And if you're not on Facebook, you can always connect with me via the website, ultimatestudios.inc.com. Because I wish YouTube would let us do that a little bit. There was a way to connect via YouTube that way. I wish they would do that.
Yeah.
Because I would like to keep it here. I like staying on YouTube or Instagram. I do a lot on Instagram. Those are the two where I spend the most time. The Facebook group is just a way for a lot of us to connect that are still on Facebook that make it kind of relatively easy. I am still considering doing that via the Ultimate Studios Inc. site. There are some WordPress plugins I'm looking at that would allow us to meet in one spot there that everybody can dig, because I don't want to turn into any political crap.
How went now to two Apollo X16s?
So you went... Oh, because you got a great deal from him. How you change gear more than anyone I know. So how is the only reason you did that is because you got a great deal from friends, or was there something else? Oh, okay. I'll let you in on that group right now. Hi, girl. You gonna come say hi? You gonna say hi to everybody? They've probably been hearing you snoring the whole time. No. Pinning.
So Sean says, so far the sound has been great to my ear, and I didn't seem to have to dial back my preamps as much as the Motu. Seems like a little more headroom.
Okay, well there is a lot more headroom in that, and that's a good point. The old 24IO is, I want to say we're around 110 dB on the front end.
Mm-hmm.
And it might be a touch more on the output. But yeah, so it's, by modern standards, that's really low. So I want to say the Presonus is 119 or 120. I think the Lynx is like 123. They're all up in that 120 area now, which you had 10 dB of headroom on your front end is huge. you know, that allows you to use different pre's and things that that you might not have had the headroom for yet, or even mic things in a different way. So yeah, I totally understand that. And the output also, because even the new Motu stuff it's 100 and the 16As are 120 on the input and 123 dB on the output, right up in there somewhere.
Yeah, I think the input they went up to 117. I don't think they reached 120
On the what?
on the input.
I thought the 16A did. I didn't think the 24A or their new version of the 20. I don't think that did.
Yeah.
I think that was like 117, and the output was 120 or something like that. Yeah, but the 16A, I think they did. I'd have to double check all that.
But yeah, they definitely upped the analog side of it.
Delilah is ending the live stream. Yeah, she's ready to go outside, or most likely ready to eat.
Yeah. Yeah, Andrew says I almost went Motu 16A instead of RME. But RME is also way more expensive than Motu. I mean, depending on what you get. So cost is also a big issue.
Well, and I think that's a big thing. Here, I need 48 ins and outs as a starting point.
Yeah.
You know, so it's a huge investment. You know, if you can stay inside 1 or 2 units, like a, you know, one Apollo or a pair of Apollos or a one RME unit, they're still not cheap, but they're good, and it's a tolerable expense.
Cabling wise, if you get all the other interfaces but Motu, you have to go DB25.
Right. Well, yeah. So for us here, we're already at the quarter inch thing.
That's another.
And the 16A is
handicap.
only 16 analog inputs in and out. The other is digital. So you have 16 analog in, 16 analog outs. So they kind of got smart. The 16A ended up being their what the 24 IO used to be. They just took 8 of the analog inputs out.
So yeah, I mean, you know, connectivity, right? Because when you have to buy new cables, that's $1,000 just in cables.
Well, here it'd be probably way more than that.
Yeah,
and I would make them, so that's $1,000 fucking dollars, and then me spending probably 7 days doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah, they had 12 IO, and then some of that new RME. RME makes really nice gear.
Oh yeah.
Really nice gear.
You know, so yeah, I mean, yeah, it's a big deal, especially now with all the new M1 stuff. So you have to see that all that stuff works, you know. So really have to research that. You know, it's not just like, just go with that. It's like, well, no, it's not that simple.
But the thing with the 24 AI and AO is they split the units. You used to have all of that in one unit with the IO. Now it's 2 separate units. And the input one, they didn't, and I don't know why they did this, but you didn't get that big headroom increase like you did on they put on the 16As.
Yeah.
You know, so that's why I wouldn't stay with the 24 AI AO thing again. Yeah. And go if we stay Motu, it'd be the like 3 16As to start.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, I don't think they changed the analog portion of the 24.
Not the input, but I think they did the output. Yeah. Or there's something similar. There's something there that didn't get updated the same as the 16As.
Yeah.
As far as the headroom goes on the analog side, I'm pretty sure the chips they probably did. I mean, there's only a few companies making the chips that they use for the digital conversion.
Yeah.
So you know you're not getting it's not ridiculously different there.
It's like the starters on cars, right? There's like 2 or 3 manufacturers that make starters, you know. So Mercedes or an Audi, you know, probably have the same starter. So
okay, where is? But this is all good. I want to add all this stuff. I mean, like these topics right here are great for this big thing in July, talking about the different ones and the different types. Like, okay, right there. Wait, Sunset Official. Where'd that go? Future Sunset Official. You got the Presonus 32R. The digital. Those stage boxes. Those are really cool. You know, and that's a way that stuff was designed for live that can work just as easily in a freaking studio, and you can send so much stuff back and forth. Motu has something like that, with theirs that you can do with the AVB network. And I want to say Focusrite with the RedNet thing has ways you can do that too. I mean, that RedNet is crazy. It's expensive too, but there's a lot you can do with it. Where are my...
Oh, so yeah, so Brent says that on the 24, the new 24 IOs, which are now 2 units, they killed the audio wire because now they're going USB 2 and AVB.
It's all AVB, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, the audio wire is done. That's all going Ethernet. Which is, I mean, it's smart because it's a known... Ethernet's been around a long time. It's reliable. It's fast. Connections are not expensive. You know, it's not like moving everything to Lightning or Thunderbolt or any of that where it costs a lot of money at first and takes a while to come down. Those are known... that's known hardware that's been around a while that you can get at good prices. So you can make things, you can build things with them where that isn't adding a lot to the costs. And as you start expanding things, all those connections add to the cost. But you think of an Ethernet router that you use at home where you might have your connections coming in for your internet, and maybe you're connecting different things to it. Like we have multiple things on the video machine over to the right connected all via Ethernet, where if you could buy a good router for $100 or, you know, what used to be like $400 now is $100. So, I mean, I like how Motu's implemented that. And the RedNet thing is great also, the way they've done, the Focusrite has done it. Just different ways of going about it. But the Ethernet you see with a lot more because it's easy to implement. And it's fast. Connections are quick. You know, you don't have speed issues, so latency is not an issue when you're doing that. I always end up reading yours. It's like sitting right here in front of me and I'm reading that one.
Well, I guess because black on white for Texas is jumps out more.
Yeah, I don't know why I have mine set this way. Yeah, if I didn't already have so many snakes run through the analog snakes, I'd love to run a couple Ethernet lines or a MADI line in there and call it a day. But you know what? I'm kind of over the whole wiring thing for a while.
Well, there you go, Marcos. So that's just what we talked about the other day. UPS's energy protection.
Yep, we got the APCs and just ordered a third one yesterday.
Yeah.
The console, so we have the whole video rig over here is on an APC. This right now, and this is going to change when this one comes in, but right now the computer and all the I/O stuff over there and the monitors are on an APC. And then all the outboard racks are on an old Cyberspace, which is unreliable at best. The console, going from used to actually be on the Cyberspace with the rack gear, and it worked. But as soon as it went to the 32, it's drawn a little more power. It started popping the Cyberspace. So right now...
Cyber power.
What'd I say?
Cyberspace. Cyber power.
Well, I feel like we're in Cyberspace talking to everybody. I've heard it both ways. The cyber power.
Yeah.
So right now the console, don't tell anybody, I got plugged right into the wall until that. When the new APC shows up, the console and the monitors are going to go on that APC. It's a 1500, so going to have plenty of headroom. And then the computer and all the I/O is going to go on its own APC. And that all goes to the same outlet the same exact outlet in the wall that is on the same breaker.
Yeah. Yeah. No, we just have a battery for each gear group.
Yeah. And I mean, we probably could just go buy some giant, big one and have everything go to one. But I also think of how things are arranged in the back and space-wise and where it is. We don't have a machine room here, so to speak, where we could house something that big. So we have a few of them. They go in an area that's kind of close. It doesn't take up room. It allows us to work around everything if we have to get in the back and make changes, and it's easy that way. And then grouping them so we know it's easy to stay under like the wattage requirements for each one. And then you can't see, I don't think you can see it, but over here, I should get a photo of this at some point. I need to do an entire rundown. Maybe I'll add this to this week's video of the control room makeover of where some of this stuff is. Because over here to my right, behind me, there's a small rack that I made that houses the power for the console, for the Trident, is in there. And there's 3 different firmins. One of them is a firmin that all the racks go to. that plugs into the cyber power, cyberspace, cyber power. Then there's another one for all the lights that goes right into the wall. So all the LED lighting, everything in this room now is Wi-Fi LED lighting. That all goes to its own, so I can turn it all on with one switch. And then there's a switch for, what else is there? Oh, the monitors come on one. And then that Furman goes over to the APC. And that way, when I turn the rig on in the morning, when I fire it up, I go right over here. I start it with the console first. Then I go to the monitors, then I go to the racks, and then the lights. And, well, the lights doesn't really matter what order you put them in. But then when I kill at night, it starts with the racks get killed, the monitors get killed, and then the console, so you don't pop your speakers when you turn it off. So it's just reverse order. And that's all right in one easy rack to get to over there.
Some advice on watts and sound equipment.
Can you elaborate on L question?
Yeah.
Man, I'm glad you caught this stream too. This has been, was it Cord Diem?
Yeah.
Cord Diem. You've actually had some really great questions. This has been fantastic. The UPS double conversion. No, I do not believe so. That's the only thing on the ones we're using. They're not actually doing any filtering. Which is a bit of a drag, but I think one thing I'm going to do coming up is I'm going to start changing some of these old Furmans out with the new radials that actually do filtering for some of the noise. There is one nice voltage regulator Furman back here that's the big boy one that was expensive that is doing that. And that's what all the outboard racks are in. But the other ones I'm going to change too, so.
Well, I guess we should call it, right? Otherwise, we're going to be talking for another half
right,
hour.
but man, if you're, yeah, I know we're going to have to go. But if we're in milliseconds, like really low, I would actually say it's microseconds, really, isn't it? On the latency, it's like, it's unnoticeable. Or if you're down at 1 or 2 milliseconds, sub 5, it's hard for most people to ever hear.
Yeah.
You know? I forgot Black Lion just released one too. I'm a radio fan and I use a lot of radio gear, so I like to do that. Home recording, I saw that. I'll check that as soon as we get out of this. And yeah, I would love to chat about that stuff sometime. Let's set up a call. I don't know where you're at, but well, I guess I can look on Facebook. And yeah, for you, those of you guys not on Facebook, I get it. You know, you think whatever. I don't want to get any political crap here. I just want ways to connect with people that YouTube doesn't allow us to do. This is awesome right now, but beyond this, it's just in the comments. And the comments is fine. I'm trying to stay on top of answering all that and responding to people in comments. But if you still are on Facebook for any reason, we have the group there simply just to do that. I only push to Facebook because it's there. I don't spend a whole lot of time there either. If you're on Instagram, which, yes, I know is owned by Meta, Facebook, whatever, that's another place to do it. And I am looking for something in the future. I've got some website updates that need to happen, and I would like to get away there that's just in our own space that we can all use and go to connect there that has no affiliation with anybody other than all of us. Now, I'm working on it. I'm just trying to work on now extending. I'm talking to somebody about making days 26 hours instead of 24. If we can get the sun to stay a little longer, but that's turned out to be kind of hard. I haven't figured out, who can do that yet. Maybe I need, what's his name in Despicable Me? He can go build one of those ray guns and we can do it. I don't know. Yeah. But yeah, so that, I just want to connect with everybody and have ways we can all talk.
Yeah.
That's it.
Or maybe with electrolytes, you can make it happen, right?
Oh yeah, because, Brondo.
Yeah.
That's what plants crave.
What plants crave, yeah.
See who gets that reference. So, okay, East Coast. All right, we'll hook up then. You guys, thank you all for joining us.
Yes, great as always.
Please buy Facebook. Can we get Elon Musk to buy it? He's got a little more money than me. Or maybe he'd give me a loan.
Yeah.
Maybe he should watch one of these live streams and go, man, all these guys are awesome.
Yeah.
We'll give him a loan to buy Facebook.
Yeah. Maybe.
I'm not sure I want to get into that.
Maybe
I'd rather buy something else.
He can buy Chipotle and finally give you your black Chipotle cart.
See, I'd rather have that. Then I'll put in a portal at Chipotle where we can all talk while I'm getting a chicken bowl.
Yeah, that's it. You mean water like from the
Yes,
toilet?
you got
Yeah. That's it.
So, all right, guys, thank you for the chat. Awesome conversation today. We've got a lot of good ideas that we're going to add to these some of these upcoming streams for you guys. We'll keep you posted as I get dates. We are going to do another one of these in early June. First weekend, maybe. Second,
Yeah.
we'll let you know as soon as possibly can. We'll get it up there. So hopefully we can get everybody involved again.
So, yeah.
And we'll see you. Delilah
and-
says bye.
And bring those cool questions, like for wiring, right? So we can really make a great stream about that.
Is Facebook still a thing? That's funny.
All right, guys.
Okay, dudes. Thank you all. We'll see you the next time. Cheers.